Dear friends, welcome to our channel. We are thrilled to share different stories about love and betrayal from around the world with you. Now let's begin today's story journey. Madrid's twilight always arrives fashionably late, with July's sunset painting the entire sky red. It casts a dreamlike glow over this ancient, yet modern city. In an upscale townhouse in the northern residential area, Miguel is busy in the kitchen preparing dinner. It's his 13th wedding anniversary with his wife Lucia, and despite the subtle changes in their relationship over the past few months, Miguel still hopes to use this opportunity to rekindle the spark in their marriage. 42-year-old Miguel is a structural engineer working at Madrid's largest construction company. 13 years ago, he met Lucia, who was working at a small travel agency, and they quickly fell in love and married. Lucia is now the owner of her own boutique travel agency, specializing in customized travel services for wealthy clients. They have a 10-year-old daughter, Sophia, who was born in the third year of their marriage. Miguel puts the steak in the oven and begins preparing the salad. His phone rings at this moment with a text from Lucia. "We'll be home late tonight. Have an emergency meeting with a client. Don't wait up for dinner." Miguel sighs, turns off the oven, and takes a beer from the refrigerator. 13th anniversary, and she doesn't even mention it. This has become the norm in recent months. Looking back, the changes seem to have started last year. Lucia's travel agency took on a major client, Alejandro, a successful real estate developer. Since then, Lucia's working hours have grown longer, and weekend business meetings have become increasingly frequent. Initially, Miguel was proud of his wife's professional success, but as time passed, he had to admit that the distance between them was growing. Miguel sits on the sofa, turns on the TV, but isn't really watching. Sophia is staying overnight at a friend's house, and the entire house feels especially quiet. He browses through photos in his phone album. Those family portraits full of smiles seem to belong to a distant past. Recent photos are increasingly rare, mostly of him and Sophia, with Lucia rarely appearing in the frame. At 1 in the morning, the front door opens quietly, and Lucia tiptoes in. Miguel doesn't pretend to be asleep. He sits in the dimly lit living room. "You're still up?" Lucia asks, with a hint of awkwardness in her voice. "Today is our wedding anniversary," Miguel says calmly. "I had planned a candlelit dinner." A flash of guilt crosses Lucia's expression but quickly disappears. "Sorry, I completely forgot. This project is urgent, and Alejandro needs to see the proposal tomorrow." Miguel notices she says Alejandro rather than client, a naming convention that has become increasingly common lately. "Still at the office this late?" "Yes, and then went for coffee. I needed to stay awake to finish the work." Lucia walks towards the bathroom, ending the conversation. Miguel doesn't say more, but he keenly notices the faint scent of cologne on Lucia, a men's fragrance he has never used. In the weeks that follow, Miguel begins to consciously observe Lucia's behavior patterns. As an engineer, he's used to analyzing problems and finding solutions. Now, he's applying this mindset to his own marriage. Lucia has started paying more attention to her appearance, buying many new clothes, and frequently visiting hair salons. Her phone is always password protected and placed face down. Most suspiciously, she often leaves home on weekends, always with the excuse of meeting clients. Miguel doesn't want to play the role of a paranoid husband, but all signs point to a possibility he's reluctant to face. On a Saturday when Lucia goes out again for another business meeting, Miguel decides to take action. He contacts a private investigator, which is completely legal in Spain. Carlos is Miguel's friend from university days, now running a private investigation firm. Miguel explains the situation frankly, and Carlos understands and agrees to help. "I don't want you to misunderstand," Miguel tells Carlos. "I just need to know the truth, whatever the outcome." 2 weeks later, Carlos meets Miguel with the investigation results. They choose a cafe far from Miguel's home and Lucia's workplace. "I have some photos to show you," Carlos says, with professional calmness in his voice, but eyes full of apology for his old friend. "Are you sure you want to see them?" Miguel takes a deep breath and nods. Carlos opens his tablet and shows him a series of photos. Lucia and a handsome man. Miguel recognizes him as Alejandro, dining intimately at an upscale restaurant. The couple walking hand in hand through the small alleys of Madrid. Finally, images of them entering a luxury hotel. The timestamps clearly show these happened when Lucia, claim to be working. There's more. Carlos hesitates. I followed them to Barcelona, where they meet most frequently. They have an apartment there. Miguel feels dizzy, but he forces himself to remain calm. How long has this been going on? Based on my investigation, at least 6 months, possibly longer. Thank you, Carlos. Miguel's voice is unusually calm, as if discussing something unrelated to himself. Back home, Miguel sits alone in his study, trying to organize his thoughts. Anger, sadness, and a sense of betrayal wash over him like a tide. But beneath these emotions, there's also a strange sense of relief. At least now he knows the truth and no longer lives in uncertainty. In the days that follow, Miguel begins to gather evidence more systematically. He's not just confirming his wife's infidelity, but thinking about how to protect his and Sophia's future. He takes a few days off, telling his company he needs to handle family matters. On a day when Lucia is out, Miguel checks the shared home computer. Lucia occasionally uses it for simple work files. By recovering deleted files, he discovers several emails between Lucia and Alejandro. The content not only involves their personal relationship, but also some suspicious business dealings. The investors for the Madrid project have transferred funds according to our plan, but we need to be careful handling this money. One email from Alejandro to Lucia reads. Another mentions, the client's funds can be temporarily used for the Valencia project and replenished next quarter. They won't notice. Miguel frowns. This sounds like some kind of financial misconduct, possibly involving misappropriation of client funds. He saves these emails, considering the potential use of this information. As the investigation deepens, Miguel discovers the situation is more complex than he imagined. Lucia has not only betrayed their marriage, but may also be conspiring with Alejandro in some form of business fraud. As the owner of a travel agency, Lucia manages large amounts of client prepayments, and these funds appear to be used for some of Alejandro's real estate projects. Miguel begins to consider his options: direct confrontation, divorce, reporting possible business fraud to authorities. Each step requires careful consideration, especially with Sophia's well-being in mind. One evening, while helping Sophia brush her teeth before bed, a thought suddenly crosses Miguel's mind. Dad, why are your eyes blue and Mom's eyes brown? But mine are green. Sophia innocently asks. My teacher at school says that's impossible. Miguel freezes. Indeed, neither he nor Lucia has green eyes, but he had never questioned this. When Sophia was born, the doctor explained that a baby's eye color might change as they grow. But Sophia is now 10 years old, and her green eyes are clearly permanent. Sometimes genes work in mysterious ways, sweetheart, Miguel softly replies. But a terrible question has already arisen in his heart. The next day, Miguel makes a risky decision. Under the pretext of taking Sophia to the dentist, but with her consent, he conducts a secret DNA test. The test results will take a week to come back, a week that feels unbearably long for Miguel. While waiting for the results, Miguel begins preparing for a possible divorce. He consults with a lawyer friend to understand the details of Spanish divorce law. Since they have shared property and a child, the divorce process would be quite complicated. But if he could prove Lucia's infidelity and financial misconduct, the situation might be more favorable for Miguel. The DNA test results finally arrive, and Miguel opens the email alone in his office. He stares at the screen, feeling the world collapse around him. He has no biological relationship with Sophia. In their 13 years of marriage, the daughter he has raised for 10 years is not actually his child. Miguel closes his office door and sits in the dark for a long time. Pain hits him like something tangible, but as time passes, the pain gradually transforms into a cold resolve. Now, this is no longer just about marital betrayal, but about a 10-year lie in his life. He begins to wonder, who was Lucia in contact with when Sophia was born? Who could be Sophia's biological father? Most importantly, how should he respond to all this? Miguel realizes he needs a plan that will both protect Sophia and make Lucia pay for her betrayal. Years of experience as an engineer have made him accustomed to designing precise structures and systems. Now, he applies this precision to his revenge plan. In the weeks that follow, Miguel begins executing his carefully designed plan. First, he arranges for Sophia to stay with her grandparents for a week, allowing him to focus on the task at hand. With Carlos's help, Miguel obtains more evidence about Lucia and Alejandro's business dealings. He discovers that Lucia's travel agency has accepted large prepayments from clients for luxury travel projects. A significant portion of these funds has been transferred to Alejandro's real estate projects. Several of these projects are in financial trouble, and the client's money is actually being used to fill these holes. Meanwhile, Miguel also begins searching for Sofia's true biological father. By examining photos and email records in Lucia's old computer, he identifies a possible candidate: Daniel, Lucia's ex-boyfriend from university. Daniel had briefly reappeared in Lucia's life around the time of Sofia's birth. These discoveries are heartbreaking for Miguel, but he doesn't let emotions affect his judgment. He continues collecting evidence while maintaining a normal married life on the surface. He even starts acting busier, giving Lucia more opportunities to meet with Alejandro so he can better track their activities. One evening, Lucia returns home earlier than usual, looking somewhat uneasy. "We need to talk," she says, sitting on the sofa across from Miguel. Miguel remains calm, waiting for her to continue. "I think our marriage has reached its end," Lucia says directly. "We've been together too long, and I feel we've both changed. I want something different." Miguel looks into his wife's eyes and sees only determination, no remorse. "Are you saying you want a divorce?" "Yes, I think it's best for both of us," Lucia says, then quickly adds, "Of course, I hope Sofia can primarily live with me, but you can see her often." Miguel almost laughs out loud. After betraying him and deceiving him about their daughter's true identity, Lucia now wants custody of Sofia. But he controls his emotions, just calmly nodding. "If that's what you want, then I won't stop you. I'll contact a lawyer and prepare the divorce papers." Lucia seems surprised by his calm reaction, but quickly accepts it. "Thank you for understanding. I promise to make this process as smooth as possible." After Lucia leaves the room, Miguel allows himself a cold smile. What she doesn't know is that he has already prepared all the necessary evidence. This includes her infidelity, financial misconduct, and information about Sofia's biological father. Now, he just needs to wait for the right moment to execute his plan. In the days that follow, the divorce proceedings officially begin. Miguel appears unusually cooperative, which makes Lucia even more relaxed and off guard. She begins dating Alejandro more openly, seemingly eager to start her new life. Miguel is preparing for the final revelation. He has given all evidence of Lucia and Alejandro's financial misconduct to a trusted journalist friend, to be published when the time is right. He has also contacted several important travel agency clients, suggesting they might need to check their accounts and contracts. Most importantly, he has prepared all information about Sofia's biological father, including DNA test results and historical evidence he found. This will be the core of his plan, a truth powerful enough to destroy Lucia's image in Sofia's heart. The divorce proceedings go surprisingly smoothly, mainly because Miguel doesn't raise any objections. He even agrees to Lucia's request for primary custody, which makes her feel relieved. The lawyers are surprised by the friendly agreement between the couple, not knowing this is just the calm before the storm. The day before signing the final divorce papers, Lucia tells Miguel she wants to celebrate with Alejandro at their once-favorite restaurant, El Jardin. This is exactly the opportunity Miguel has been waiting for. "Of course, you should celebrate your new beginning," Miguel says gently. El Jardin is a good choice. The next evening, Miguel signs the divorce papers at the lawyer's office, officially ending their 13-year marriage. On the surface, he accepts this outcome, even smiling and offering Lucia best wishes as he signs. "I wish you happiness, Lucia," he says, with no bitterness in his voice. Lucia seems somewhat moved, but also confused. "Are you okay?" "Fine, just feel it's time to move on," Miguel answers, then adds, "By the way, what time are you going to El Jardin tonight?" 8 o'clock, why do you ask?" "Nothing, just curious." Miguel shrugs and leaves the lawyer's office. At 7:50 in the evening, Miguel, dressed in his best suit, walks into El Jardin restaurant. He sees Lucia and Alejandro already sitting at a corner table, raising glasses in celebration. They look so happy, so carefree, completely unaware of what's about to happen. Miguel takes a deep breath and walks towards their table. Lucia's smile freezes instantly when she sees him. "Miguel, what are you doing here?" Her voice reveals obvious surprise and a hint of fear. "Just wanted to congratulate you both," Miguel says calmly, with a smile. He turns to Alejandro, extending his hand. We haven't formally met. I'm Miguel, Lucia's ex-husband. Alejandro looks somewhat embarrassed, but shakes Miguel's hand. Alejandro, sorry things turned out this way. No need to apologize, Miguel says, taking an envelope from his inner pocket and placing it on the table. Actually, I came to give you a gift. What gift? Lucia asks warily. Congratulations on your freedom, Miguel says, pushing the envelope towards Lucia. Inside is some information I think you should know. Lucia hesitantly opens the envelope and takes out the documents. When she sees the first page with DNA test results proving Sofia is not Miguel's biological daughter, the smug smile on her face instantly disappears. Her hands begin to tremble, and the documents nearly slip from her grasp. What does this mean? Alejandro asks, confused. It means that during our 13 years of marriage, Lucia not only betrayed me, but also deceived me into raising a child who wasn't biologically mine, Miguel explains calmly. But this is just the beginning. Please continue reading. Lucia turns to the next page, her face growing even paler. It's a detailed report documenting how she and Alejandro misappropriated travel agency client funds for his real estate projects. There are copies of emails, bank transfer records, and other evidence. You can't do this, Lucia mumbles, her voice barely audible. I already have, Miguel answers. Copies of these documents have been sent to relevant authorities and media. By tomorrow morning, all of Madrid will know what you've done. But what about Sofia? Lucia suddenly looks up, her eyes filled with fear. You can't tell her. About who her real father is? Miguel smirks. Don't worry, I won't be that cruel. But I've filed for a modification of custody rights based on your infidelity and potential criminal charges. The judge has agreed to temporarily change the custody arrangement. Sofia is with me now and will remain so until everything is resolved. Alejandro stands up, his face filled with anger. Who do you think you are? You can't threaten us like this. This isn't a threat, Alejandro. It's an established fact. Miguel places a business card on the table. This is my lawyer's contact information. If you have any questions, you can contact him. I suggest you find a good lawyer yourselves, considering the charges you're about to face. Miguel turns to leave but stops and looks into Lucia's eyes. Oh, one more thing. I know Daniel is Sofia's biological father. I've contacted him. He knew nothing about this. Interestingly, he's quite eager to meet his daughter. A flash of shock and fear crosses Lucia's face. You can't do this. Already done, Miguel says calmly. Enjoy your dinner. With that, he turns and walks out of the restaurant, leaving Lucia and Alejandro in shock and panic. Stepping into the fresh air outside, Miguel takes a deep breath. He doesn't feel the expected satisfaction or victory, only a strange emptiness and relief. This isn't the end, but the beginning of a new chapter for him and Sofia, a new beginning without betrayal and lies. The news broke faster than Miguel had expected. The next morning, several major media outlets simultaneously published reports about Lucia and Alejandro's alleged business fraud. The reports detailed how they used travel agency clients' prepayments to fund troubled real estate projects and the potential legal consequences they face. Miguel stays at home, trying his best to shield Sofia from this storm. He takes 2 weeks off, explaining to Sofia that they need some time to adjust to the new living arrangements. 10-year-old Sofia is sad about her parents' divorce, but Miguel comforts her as much as possible. He ensures she knows it's not her fault and that no matter what happens, he will always love her. Dad, why doesn't Mom come to see me? Sofia asks at breakfast, her voice confused and sad. Miguel carefully chooses his words. Mom has some work troubles to deal with right now, sweetheart. She'll come to see you soon. This isn't entirely a lie. Lucia is indeed facing serious work problems, but Miguel knows the situation is much more complex. He's received news that police have begun investigating Lucia's travel agency, and several important clients have filed lawsuits. Several of Alejandro's real estate projects are also in trouble, with investors demanding refunds. That same afternoon, Lucia tries to contact Miguel. She calls, her voice full of anger and fear. Do you have any idea what you've done? She almost screams. My company is finished. Clients are canceling contracts, and the police just visited my office. Those are the consequences of your own choices, Lucia. Miguel calmly replies. You chose to betray me, deceive me about Sophia's identity, and engage in business fraud. These were all your own choices. But what about Sophia? Did you think about her? What will she think when she finds out the truth? I will tell her the truth at the appropriate time, in an appropriate way. Unlike you, I won't build our relationship on lies. There's silence on the other end for a moment. Then Lucia's voice softens somewhat. Please, Miguel, at least let me see Sophia. She's still my daughter. Miguel considers this. Regardless of what Lucia has done, Sophia does have the right to see her mother. I'll arrange it, but it must be under my supervision. After hanging up, Miguel sits in the living room, looking at the family photos on the wall. These photos tell a story he thought was real, but now seems like a carefully constructed lie. He considers taking down these photos, but decides to keep them for now, at least for Sophia's sake. The next day, media reports become more detailed, including the history of Lucia and Alejandro. They describe how they used the travel agency's reputation to attract wealthy clients, then misappropriated their funds. Some reports even suggest this might be just the tip of a larger iceberg. Meanwhile, Miguel receives a message from Daniel, Sophia's biological father. Miguel found him through DNA databases and social media. Initially, Daniel was shocked by the news, but he expressed a strong desire to meet Sophia. I completely respect your role as her father, Daniel writes in his email. But if possible, I hope to play some role in her life, even if just as a friend or uncle. Miguel feels conflicted about this request. On one hand, he worries it would bring more confusion to Sophia. On the other hand, he believes Sophia has the right to know her biological origins. Eventually, he decides not to make a decision yet, focusing instead on helping Sophia through the current difficult period. A week later, the court formally approves the temporary custody change. It allows Miguel to be Sophia's primary custodian until Lucia's legal issues are resolved. This decision is mainly based on the potential criminal charges Lucia faces and her current unstable situation. Lucia's travel agency has been forced to close, and her assets are frozen. Alejandro's situation is worse. He's been arrested and faces multiple charges of fraud and embezzlement. The media describes the story as a major scandal in Madrid's high society circles, giving it extensive coverage. Miguel tries to protect Sofia from this negative news, but complete isolation is impossible. Sofia's schoolmates have already started talking about it, and some parents even express concerns about letting their children associate with Sofia, as if betrayal and fraud were contagious diseases. Why can't Emily come to our house anymore? Sofia asks after school one day, tears in her eyes. She says her mom won't let her play with me. Miguel's heart breaks. Although he wanted Lucia to pay for what she did, he never thought Sofia would be caught in the crossfire. Sometimes adults' problems affect children, baby. It's not fair, but I promise it's only temporary. He decides it's time to take Sofia away from Madrid for a while. He contacts his company, applies for remote work arrangements, and plans to take Sofia to the beaches of Valencia for a few weeks. Perhaps leaving this city full of rumors and gossip would do them good. Before leaving, Miguel arranges a meeting between Lucia and Sofia, as he promised. They choose a quiet park, under Miguel's supervision. Lucia looks haggard, with deep dark circles under her eyes, but when she sees Sofia, a genuine smile spreads across her face. Sofia runs to her mother, and they embrace tightly. I miss you, Mom, Sofia says, her voice full of longing. I miss you too, darling, Lucia replies, tears in her eyes. Are you okay? Yes, Dad takes care of me. We're going to Valencia for vacation. Lucia looks up at Miguel, who just nods in confirmation. They sit on a park bench while Sofia excitedly talks about her school life and friends. She temporarily forgets the storm surrounding them. When Sofia goes to play on the swings, Lucia turns to Miguel. You really hate me, don't you? Miguel contemplates for a moment. I did hate you when I discovered your betrayal and lies. But now, I mainly feel sad. Sad that we wasted so many years. Sad that Sofia must endure all this. I never meant to hurt her, Lucia says softly. It started as a mistake. Then the lies just kept growing. It's too late for that now, Miguel interrupts her. We need to find ways to minimize the damage to Sofia. Will you tell her about Daniel? Yes, when she's ready. She has the right to know the truth. Lucia nods, seeming to accept this fact. I might go to prison, Miguel. The prosecutor says the evidence is conclusive. I know, Miguel says, showing no sympathy. You need to take responsibility for your actions. Their conversation is interrupted by Sophia's laughter as she swings high on the swings. Watching his daughter's innocent smile, Miguel realizes again that no matter what happens, no matter the biological relationship, Sophia will always be his daughter. This bond is something Lucia can never destroy. The weeks in Valencia are the most peaceful and happiest time Miguel and Sofia have had in years. Away from the pressure and rumors of Madrid, they can establish new routines and connections. Miguel works remotely while Sofia explores the beaches and local attractions. During this time, Miguel also considers how and when to tell Sofia the truth about her biological father. He consults a child psychologist who advises not to rush revealing this complex truth. It's better to wait for a natural opportunity and ensure the conversation happens in a supportive and loving way. Upon returning to Madrid, the situation has calmed somewhat. Media interest in the story has decreased, shifting to new scandals. Lucia's legal issues are still ongoing, but no longer headline news. Alejandro has reached a plea agreement with prosecutors, agreeing to testify against some bigger players in exchange for a lighter sentence. One evening, after Sofia has gone to bed, Miguel receives a call from Lucia's lawyer. Lucia wants to discuss a settlement proposal with you, the lawyer says. She's willing to completely give up custody of Sofia in exchange for you not pursuing her deception regarding Sofia's identity. Miguel feels surprised. Why propose this now? Frankly, her legal situation is very difficult. Adding a charge of deliberate deception in the divorce and custody case would make her situation even more complicated. Miguel thinks for a moment. Tell her I'll consider the proposal, but I need to ensure Sofia's future welfare is protected. After hanging up, Miguel sits on the balcony, looking at the Madrid night skyline. He has achieved the revenge he wanted. Lucia's career and reputation are completely ruined, and she will likely face imprisonment. But the taste of victory isn't as sweet as he imagined. The next day, he contacts Daniel and arranges a meeting. They choose a quiet cafe, far from people who might know them. Daniel looks nervous but sincere. He is an architect, about Miguel's age, with the same green eyes as Sofia. Thank you for agreeing to meet me, Daniel says. I know this must be very difficult for you. Miguel gets straight to the point. I want to discuss Sofia's future. Regardless of the biological facts, I'm the one who raised her. But I also believe she has the right to know about her origins. They discuss how to introduce Daniel to Sofia with minimal psychological trauma. Finally, they reach an agreement. Daniel will gradually enter Sofia's life as Miguel's friend. Only at the appropriate time will they reveal their true relationship. I respect your position as her father, Daniel says sincerely. I just hope to be part of her life if she wants that. Leaving the cafe, Miguel feels a strange relief. Though the situation isn't ideal, at least there's now a plan for moving forward. A few days later, he signs the settlement agreement proposed by Lucia. He formally obtains full custody of Sofia. In exchange, he agrees not to raise the issue of Lucia's deception about Sofia's identity in court. But he retains the right to tell Sofia the truth privately. Time passes, and life gradually finds a new rhythm. Lucia is eventually sentenced to 3 years in prison. But as a first-time offender showing remorse, she might be released early. Alejandro receives a lighter sentence, but his career and reputation are completely ruined. Miguel and Sofia build a new life. They move to another area of Madrid, away from the memories of their old home. Miguel receives a promotion at his company, giving him more flexibility to balance work and family life. Daniel now regularly appears in their lives as Dad's good friend. Sofia likes him, especially when she discovers they share the same passion for architecture and drawing. Miguel sometimes feels a pang, seeing the natural closeness between Sofia and Daniel. But he reminds himself that expanding Sofia's support network can only benefit her. A few weeks before Sofia's 11th birthday, Miguel decides it's time to tell her the truth. Following the child psychologist's advice, he chooses a calm weekend with no other plans. This gives them enough time to process any emotional reactions together. Sofia, there's something important I need to talk to you about. Miguel begins after breakfast. His voice is as calm and gentle as possible. Sofia seems to sense the seriousness of the conversation and puts down the book she was reading. Is it about Mom? Is she getting out of prison? No, sweetheart, it's not about Mom. It's about you, about me, about our family. Miguel takes a deep breath. Do you remember a year ago when you asked why your eyes are green, while mine and mom's aren't? Sophia nods, beginning to look somewhat uneasy. Sometimes, families aren't just defined by blood relationships. Miguel continues. Families are defined by love, commitment, and shared experiences. He carefully explains the DNA test results and the fact that Daniel is actually her biological father. He emphasizes that no matter what, he will always be her father, and his love will never change. Sophia's reaction goes through a series of emotions: shock, confusion, anger, and finally tears. So mom was lying to us all along? She eventually asks, tears streaming down her cheeks. Yes, but people sometimes make wrong choices, Sophia. It doesn't mean she doesn't love you. What about Daniel? Did he know all along? No, he only found out recently. That's why he started visiting us. Sophia is silent for a moment, digesting this information. So I have two dads now. Miguel can't help but smile. If you want to look at it that way, yes. But remember, I'm the one who watched you grow up, taught you to ride a bike, and took care of you when you were sick. Those memories and connections will never change. I know, Sophia says, leaning forward to hug Miguel. You'll always be my dad. This conversation marks a new chapter in their relationship, one based on truth rather than lies. Although telling Sophia the truth was painful, Miguel knows it was the right choice. In the weeks that follow, they continue to discuss the topic. Sophia's questions change and develop as her understanding of the situation evolves. Daniel is also involved in some of these conversations, gradually building a relationship with Sophia. He is careful not to offend Miguel's role as father. For the three of them, it's a process of adjustment and learning, but their common goal is Sophia's health and happiness. 3 years later, Lucia is released after serving her sentence. When she gets out of prison, Madrid has already forgotten her scandal, and life continues to move forward. She contacts Miguel, hoping to rebuild her relationship with Sophia. Sophia is now 13, old enough to make some decisions for herself. Miguel doesn't prevent her from meeting her mother, but he ensures Sophia knows she can set boundaries and come home anytime she wants. Their first meeting is at a neutral cafe. Lucia looks much older than before. Prison life has left obvious marks on her. But when she sees Sophia, her eyes light up. You've grown so tall, Lucia says, trying to control her emotions. Sophia is polite but keeps her distance. She knows all the truth now, including her mother's betrayal and deception. Although Miguel never encouraged her to blame her mother, Sophia has formed her own judgments. The meeting goes more smoothly than expected. They talk about school, Sophia's hobbies, and her achievements in art class. Lucia shares some things she learned in prison, including knitting and oil painting. Over time, Sophia's relationship with Lucia gradually repairs, though it will never be the same as before. Sophia meets with her mother a few times a month, sometimes accompanied by Miguel or Daniel, sometimes alone. Miguel observes all this, feeling a complex mixture of emotions. He was once so focused on punishing Lucia, but now, his main concern is Sophia's well-being. Seeing her able to establish some kind of relationship with her mother, even if it's a bounded one, gives him a strange sense of peace. A year after Lucia's release, Miguel meets Ana, a landscape designer, at a company event. They begin dating, and slowly, Miguel finds himself opening his heart again. Ana understands and respects his complex family arrangement with Sophia and Daniel. She even maintains a polite relationship with Lucia, all for Sophia's benefit. One day, as they prepare dinner together, Sophia suddenly asks, "Dad, do you regret telling me about Daniel?" Miguel stops what he's doing, considering the question. "No, I don't regret it. Lies only bring more harm. Truth can be painful sometimes, but it also sets us free." Sophia nods, seemingly accepting this answer. "I think I understand why you treated Mom that way. Not because you hated her, but because of her lies." "Partly," Miguel admits. "But I also did things out of anger and hurt that I'm not proud of. Revenge seems sweet, but it doesn't really heal the wounds. Then what does? Time, truth, forgiveness, not for others, but for yourself." Miguel smiles at his daughter, touched by her wisdom and growth. Most importantly, love. Not possessive or conditional love, but the kind of love that wants others to be happy, even if that means letting them go their own way. Sophia contemplates these words, then continues chopping vegetables. These philosophical discussions have become part of their lives. As she grows, these conversations become increasingly profound. Miguel looks at his daughter, not through blood, but through choice and commitment. He knows all the pain and confusion were ultimately worth it. Although their family isn't perfect in the traditional sense, it is real, built on honesty and love. The scars of betrayal still exist, but they no longer dominate his life. Now, when he thinks of Lucia and that night at the restaurant when he pushed that envelope across the table, he no longer feels the satisfaction of revenge, but a calm acceptance of the journey he has traveled and the peace he has found. Sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't destroying those who hurt you, but building a better, more authentic life above their betrayal. For Miguel, watching Sophia grow into an honest, compassionate young person, knowing the role he plays in her life, this is the sweetest victory. If this story resonated with you, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. We look forward to seeing you in our next story.